The year is 1872, and the place is Egypt. A hot wind blows across the desert. The sun beats down mercilessly on anyone foolish enough to be outside. But inside the cool chambers of the British consul's palace in Alexandria, an elite group of scholars are gathered together. They are meeting in secret to discuss a recent discovery that has shaken the world. For they have recently come into possession of a mysterious artifact. An artifact that predates human history. They had found a stone tablet covered in strange markings that seemed indecipherable. What nobody expected was that just a few years later, similar artifacts would be found all over Egypt, rewriting the history of one of humanity's greatest civilizations. But what did these tablets really say? And could they finally reveal the secrets of how the pyramids were built? The story begins 4 years earlier in 1868, when French diplomat and amateur archaeologist Charles Lenormand discovered a limestone slab at the bottom of the sea not far from the coast of Alexandria. He pulled it up with the help of some local fishermen and then presented it to the British consul, James Grant, who began collecting artifacts related to Napoleon's campaign in Egypt. The strange rock monolith was covered with peculiar markings and was clearly thousands of years old. However, it was very different from any hieroglyphic text that experts had ever seen before. As soon as word got out that Grant had acquired this curious relic, other Europeans began searching for similar artifacts along the coast of Egypt. In 1872, 2 sailors dredged up another one from the sea near the city of Rosetta. It was coated in barnacles and seaweed, but once they scraped those off, they saw that it had the same mysterious markings as the one found by Lenormand. There were even more strange relics discovered, such as an obelisk that was covered in hieroglyphs. What made all of this even more curious was that no ancient Egyptian sites were anywhere nearby. So why were these relics suddenly showing up at the bottom of the sea? And what did they actually say? By 1873, 5 slabs had been found, and so Egyptologist John William Wolfe was asked to decipher them. At first he struggled to make sense of the signs, which weren't hieroglyphs, but after a while he was able to piece it together. It turned out that the inscriptions were written in a language called hieratic, which was used by scribes during the late period of ancient Egypt, from around 664 BC to the Greco-Roman period, from about 330 BC to the Arab conquest in the 7th century AD. Hieratic was basically a cursive version of hieroglyphic writing. However, these tablets were written in a form of hieratic that was completely unknown because it was much older than anything seen before. Hieratic had evolved over time, and these writings were from such an early stage of the language that it was almost indecipherable. This was because the script had changed so much between then and now. To give you an idea of how big the gap is between them, consider that here is how the word for water looked in ancient Egypt, and here is how we write it today. Although the deciphered text was incredibly cryptic, it still revealed some interesting things, and together with other archaeological evidence, it shed new light on one of the biggest mysteries of ancient Egypt, the construction of the pyramids. You see, many people believe that the Egyptians built the pyramids over several hundred years using slave labor. In fact, according to a report published by the Smithsonian Institute, researchers know that the workforce that constructed the pyramids consisted of about 20,000 skilled workers, and their families who lived in a town near the Giza plateau and were paid for their work. Contrary to popular belief, there is no evidence that the Egyptians used slaves to build the pyramids. However, exactly how they built the pyramids is still somewhat of a mystery, and this is where the newly discovered tablets may be able to help. One of the tablets seems to refer to a quarry where workers extracted limestone. It also talks about a complex system of canals that supplied the workers with fresh water from the Nile River. Researchers also uncovered some names written in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, which makes us wonder if they might have belonged to architects or engineers who helped plan out the construction. Even though these inscriptions don't directly tell us how the Egyptians built the pyramids, they do paint a picture of the working conditions. We now know that there were skilled professionals in charge of making sure everything ran smoothly. Hopefully, further discoveries will be able to reveal more details about the construction of these magnificent structures. But that's not all that the tablets tell us. Some researchers believe that they may also hold the key to solving one of the biggest mysteries surrounding ancient Egyptian culture: how they adapted to climate change. In 2018, scientists conducted a study of sediment cores from the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Egypt. They wanted to find out whether there had been any sudden changes in climate around the time that the ancient Egyptians flourished. However, what they found was quite the opposite. Instead of a drastic change in temperature, there was a gradual warming trend that lasted for about 200 years. During this time, the Egyptians experienced a sort of climate optimum. That means that their civilization flourished during a period of unusually warm weather. Many scientists have speculated that the building of the pyramids took place during this time. But until now, there has been no direct evidence to prove it. After all, the pyramids were built long before the pharaohs united Egypt, so there was no way to date them accurately. Also, we didn't know if the climate was actually different back then. Perhaps it was always warm in Egypt, so the pyramids could have been built at any time. However, thanks to the deciphering of these tablets, researchers now know that the climate optimum happened between 2900 and 2700 BC. This is right around the time that the pyramids were built. So we can now confirm that the ancient Egyptians experienced a unique opportunity for flourishing that only lasted for a couple of centuries. It's possible that the reason why their civilization eventually collapsed was due to the cooling climate that followed. Unfortunately, the reason why this relatively stable climate began to shift remains a mystery. Scientists are currently trying to find out if there was a volcanic eruption somewhere in the world that may have caused an ice age, but we won't know for sure until further research is conducted. One thing that we can be sure of is that the discovery of these tablets completely changed our understanding of ancient Egyptian history. Before this, scholars thought that Egyptian civilization began with the pharaohs. But since these tablets predate them by about 500 years, it means that the Egyptian civilization was actually much older than we previously thought. Some historians speculate that there was a period of pre-dynastic Egypt before the pharaohs came to power. However, there is very little evidence to support this theory. After all, the Egyptians didn't keep any written records before that time. The oldest piece of evidence that we have comes from the Naqada culture, which lasted from about 4000 to 3000 BC. Archaeologists have uncovered tombs from this period that contain many goods buried inside, such as jewelry and perfume vessels. This suggests that the society that lived then was stratified into different social classes. However, there is no evidence of large-scale building projects or political organization. So, it's hard to say whether or not there really was a pre-dynastic civilization. Still, it's an intriguing idea, and maybe one day we'll be able to uncover more evidence of it. Who knows? Perhaps there are more tablets waiting to be discovered at the bottom of the sea that will reveal more about ancient Egyptian history. Thanks to modern technology, it's now easier than ever to explore the world around us. All it takes is a few clicks of a button. From learning about distant lands to exploring uncharted territories, the possibilities are endless. You can learn something new every day with the click of a button. We hope you enjoyed learning about the mysterious tablets that were found at the bottom of the sea. What did you think about the most fascinating part of the story? Let us know in the comments below. and don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting content. Until next time.